FightSaga.com and Halftime Pizza proudly present WAWR Week Radio Chats with ring announcer and commentator Joseph Heron.
Guys, welcome. Happy Thursday to all of you guys. And, if it's Thursday, we're trying to actually make this a regular segment. But this gentleman who's joining me tonight, he's very busy. He's on the beat and he travels everywhere. And he's going to be leaving town this Monday to go film a very special exclusive documentary for 210 Boxing. And guys, I'm referring to Mr. 210 Boxing, the incomparable Mr. Brandon Walker. Brandon, how you doing tonight, brother?
Oh, I'm doing great. Yeah, we're gearing up, gonna hit up Arizona, gonna do this special with Jesus Ramos Jr. And man, I'm really excited. I was in camp with him last time for about 4 days, and just the work ethic, he's the family kid that he is. He's such a good kid, man, and just it's just a pleasure just working with him and seeing the rise. That's the one thing I think I like more than anything is when you see these young guys, the rise before they actually get there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And once again, being a part of that process, well, that's everything now, isn't it?
No, exactly.
Yeah, you feel like part of the family, feel like part of the team. But I will say this, being in this business for 20 years, and I've done pretty much every job there is to do in this business, with the exception of getting my promoter's license or my matchmaker's license, but I've helped out doing both. I've done publicist work, and that's the reason why I had to quit doing publicist work, because I got too attached to the fighters. And let me tell you, when you see someone that you're very close to, and I'm sure you've already experienced this, someone that you're very attached to, and you feel like you're part of the team, part of the family, and when you're in their team and you see them get knocked the F out, that's hard to deal with. Have you experienced that yet, Brandon?
Yeah, Rayo Valenzuela, man. That's
oh boy.
That's my boy, man. I love him to death, man. I love him, man. And like I said, he's my boy, and just
it feels like it's physically painful, like it's staring at the sun.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like one of your friends getting their ass whipped and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Like you can't jump in and help. You're just there to be supportive and pick up the pieces afterwards, man. It's very difficult. And myself, as compassionate and as passionate as I am for all of these gallant young fighters, I couldn't do it anymore, brother. I couldn't do it. It hurt my heart to watch. So you're a brave man, brother, but you're not worried about this one, are you? Can you talk about Jesus's mindset and give us a kind of an exclusive sneak peek into what this documentary entails, and what's the mindset of this? Because once again, there's a reason why, even though they're two former champions like Ugas and Barrios, on this card, it's still in the co-main event, Erickson Lubin versus Jesus Ramos Jr. Everyone is predicting this to be not only a Fight of the Year candidate, but to possibly steal the show on September 30th. So what is Jesus's mindset going into this, brother?
So we actually spoke. We lately we've been talking almost every day. So this was probably about a week ago, because we spoke yesterday, but this is probably about I'll say maybe like 4 or 5 days ago. And I was telling him, I was like, man, bro, I was like, I love this spot you're in. It's just, damn, it's a hard fight. And he said, what? He goes, you think it's a hard fight? He's like, you know what? He's like, he's like, I'm glad you said that. He goes, I'm going to show you it's not a hard fight. He's like, write this shit down. He's like, it's not a hard fight. He's like, I'm going to show you, man. He's like, I'm going to beat this guy up and probably put him in the hospital. I was like, damn. Like, and Jesus never talks like that, but it's just like, he's just tired of not getting any credit. And it's like, it's just, put it like this, right? Lorenzo Simpson has 100,000 more followers than him on Instagram. But Lorenzo Simpson just lost to Vladimir Hernandez. And what happened when Jesus Ramos fought Vladimir Hernandez? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
like he doesn't get any respect, even with like Rodney Dangerfield. You know, I get no respect. He gets no respect at all, and it's just like it's a shame because he's that guy. Brian Mendoza, I heard somebody kind of making some excuses for him, saying that he was sick and stuff like this. I'm like, man, he won. Jesus won that fight 8 rounds to 2, 98-92 in a 10 rounder, and he was only 20.
Yep.
And he's
Yep.
just he's developing a lot better. Even like this, if you look at the Santa Maria fight till now, it's just his development is just he's developing, and he's not getting like these real easy fights. Like first it was Javier Molina, Mendoza, so he's not getting like these gimmies that other guys are getting, and I don't want to hate on guys, but it's like me and him were talking. It's like, bro, if you look at what they gave Ryan Garcia in his first 23 fights compared to what you got your first 23 fights, it's like, dude, it's not even comparable. But the fans, they don't look at that shit. You know what I mean? They don't, excuse my language, but they don't look at that.
Well, what you can, I'm sure his team and people at PBC, they've already explained this to him, I'm sure. But
Mm-hmm.
it's promotions 101, right? It's a time-tested rule in business. And he's in good company. Please let him know this. He's in good company. Because if you're a big ticket seller in this business, there's a rule, protect your ticket sellers. And if you're not a big ticket seller, but you're a great fighter, then promoters have no choice but to stick you in tough matchups, and you earn your bones in this business the hard way, and you increase your market value that way by beating the toughest men in the division. That's how Terrence Crawford did it. That's how Miguel Cotto did it. And yeah, it's time tested. That's how you create superstars the hard way. And once again, he's in great company. Juan Manuel Marquez, at the time he was coming up as a featherweight.
Oh, I remember all the specifically what you're going to say.
The Mexican fight fans, they were in love and enamored with Eric Morales,
And Mark Antonio Barrera, those were the guys.
And he was always in their shadow because at first, if you remember, he was what James Gogi calls a cutie pie. He was a guy that liked to box from mid to long range, right? Very skilled, arguably better than both of those guys. But they fought in a much more fan-friendly manner. They let their balls hang in the center of the ring. And Bruce Trampler of Top Rank was like, look, dude, Mexican fans, for some reason, are keeping you at arm's length. We're going to have to stick you in tough to increase your market value. And over time, well, he proved himself to be every bit as tough, every bit as good as the two aforementioned legends. And he became a huge ticket seller with his 4 fights, amazing fights with Manny Pacquiao, and with the coup de grace in that 4th matchup. So once again, Jesus Ramos, he's in good company, but he just needs someone to explain the business of it. And once again, the PBC is doing the right thing with this kid. And
I've had these conversations with him. I let him know. Basically, people are not used to Mexican fighters being on the PBC platform. They're used to Golden Boy or DAZN. If Jesus Ramos was on Golden Boy, people would think he's the biggest thing since sliced bread. But it's just, and the thing is, it's like, as we said, man, boxing fans are the worst. They don't know shit. They're the worst fan base in sports. I hate to say, but it is what it is, right? And with Jesus, we've talked about this a lot. It's like, bro, when you blow up, it's going to be overnight. Like, it's not going to be something consistently. It's literally going to be overnight where people are like, okay, who is this guy? And honestly, the fight that I think is going to put him over the top, where people are going to be like, damn, like, okay. And then he's not going to be, because right now we can go to the MGM, we can walk around everywhere. Few people will stop him at pictures, but it's not like the way it is for Pitbull Cruz or somebody like that,
Yeah.
But I feel like the one guy that's going to possibly change it all, it's not Charlo. I honestly feel like Jermell Charlo is never going back to 54, but it's going to be Tim Tszyu. And I love that matchup for Jesus. I feel like Tim Tszyu a harder fight than Lubin. And that sounds crazy to some people, but the way Tim Tszyu fights, wanting to go forward and pressure you, you can't pressure a Mexican fighter. It's not going to work. You're not gonna outwill and outballs a Mexican fighter. That's not gonna work. You know what I mean?
Well, I tell you what, I love it. And once again, this is the first big step towards us achieving that apex in boxing. And once again, you're absolutely right. And that's, I love your understanding of the business, because you're right. It's going to happen seemingly overnight. Look at Terrence Crawford. For years, diehard fans were keeping this guy at arm's length, recognizing how good he was, but not really. Once again, diehard fans, because most of them, the great majority of them, and once again, I'm not referring to our Warwick Radio extended family. These guys understand the business of it, and my hat's off to them. They're the best diehard fans on the YouTube platform by far. And after listen, that's why they're listening to this show, because we're all in the business, and especially James Gogi. Oh, holy shit. Listen to him for a couple months, and yeah, you'll get an education for free on YouTube. But you're absolutely right. It seemingly it happens overnight.
Nobody knew who Isaac Pitbull Cruz before he fought Gervonta Davis. Nobody knew who the hell he was.
Yep. In fact, I was talking to everyone before that fight, and I told everyone, look, Isaac Cruz is not going to be a pushover. You can't hurt this kid. He's got no neck, and he's going to take Gervonta Davis the distance. He's not going to win, but he's going to give him the toughest fight of his pro career. And everyone laughed at me. I'm like, go ahead. I actually know what I'm looking at. But once again, Terrence Crawford, they understood, but thought, oh, he's not that good. Look at his resume. Not understanding what they're looking at in the ring yet. But after the Spence fight, now everyone's on his jock, and he's become the hottest fighter in boxing. He's one of the biggest stars in boxing now. And guys, we're gonna in a second, we're gonna transition into, well, the big news of the day, right? Spence activating his rematch clause. But your final thoughts on this, because you're absolutely right. It's just going to happen seemingly overnight, and it's going to take a special performance. Once again, I think Jesus understands this as well as you. It's not enough to win. In boxing, it's not enough to win. You have to do something special. And that's exactly what Terrence Crawford did on July 29th. So in your mind, are we looking for something special? Should we expect something special from Jesus Ramos Jr. on September 30th?
Yes, I do expect him to win by stoppage. And what's going to be important is you don't know how the Canelo-Charlos fight's going to go. Yeah, Canelo should definitely win that fight. Well, what if Canelo loses? Then Mexicans are going to start thinking, okay, well, who's the next guy? And then if Ramos looks amazing, then they can, hey, well, what Ramos? He can be the guy. And I feel like what PBC's doing, they're doing the very smart thing by putting him on the co-main as Canelo, because what you're doing now is you're grooming the next Mexican star, like they did with Mayweather. When Mayweather was the guy, they had Canelo as the co-main. If you remember,
that's right. Yep.
If you remember, Mayweather fought Cotto. You had Canelo fighting Shane Mosley, even though Mosley was a grandfather. You know, you had that. No, I mean he was. I mean, 40 years old.
You're absolutely right. Yeah,
40 years old is a grandfather. But even though he was a grandfather, he still, you know, you still had them on the co-main event. You still had Canelo on the co-main. So what you were doing was building up Canelo. By the time Canelo, I explained this to my uncle, my Tío Orlando, who I got all my boxing knowledge from, and I explained this to him. You know, when Canelo fought Austin Trout, he was already a bigger star than Juan Manuel Marquez, and that sounds insane, but it was the truth. Canelo was 42-0 and hadn't fought a soul, but guess what? He's a bigger star. It's just the reality, you know?
Yep. Indeed. Once again, he's got a very unique look, well, compared to most locals in Texas.
With red hair. You're not going to get that, you know?
He's got the pure Spaniard look, and plus being a reality TV star. Well, before his American debut, that didn't hurt either, right? He was already a very popular guy before he ever signed with Golden Boy and started working with them.
Well, if you remember the old press releases when they were trying to negotiate Pacquiao and Mayweather, De La Hoya would come out a lot saying, "Hey, you know, we could always put in we could always put in, I can't even say his name. We could always put in, Canelo with Mayweather. We have this 19-year-old in Mexico that could fight Mayweather. They were using Canelo's name back then in 2010.
Yeah, yeah,
And then,
yep,
and then he made his U.S. Well, not it wasn't his U.S. debut, but it was his first, like fight on TV against Miguel
yeah.
Cotto's brother, Jose Cotto, and
Oh, he got hurt that fight too,
he
man.
got hurt. That's the only time I've seen him significant. That's the only time I've seen him in real trouble was that first round.
Yep, that's it. And once again, he was on another pay-per-view, and he scored a big hit. I think it was he knocked out Carlos Baldomir with one shot.
Yes, I
And
remember that specifically. Shane Mosley fought Sergio Mora in
that's it.
a dreadful, horrific fight that was just clinching, holding, no action
Yeah.
whatsoever. And then when he knocked out Baltimore, and it was like in the 6th round, but I mean, Baltimore, he knocked him out face first. Fans were like, Canelo, Canelo. They were like, they were hooked on him,
Yep, that's it. And guys, once again, that's going to be, in my opinion, it's shaping up to be potentially, on paper anyway, the best card of 2023. Every bout should be straight fire. And once again, if you must know, there's a reason why they moved this to the MGM Grand, because all of these matchups on the undercard are costing PBC. Well, it's not cheap. So they needed the big casino site fee to actually fund all of the preliminary bouts. Most fans don't realize that the site fee, that pays for all the prelims. The network only pays the licensing fee for the main event. That's what the network pays for. The site fee pays for everything else. The promotion, all the prelims, everything.
So is this at T-Mobile or at MGM?
No, this is at the MGM. You know what?
Because they had announced at T-Mobile.
Well, the T-Mobile Arena is still an MGM property. So, yes, it is T-Mobile.
Yeah, so it's right across the street,
Yep, right down the strip. Yep. And so there it is, guys. And congratulations, Brandon, for getting this assignment, for grinding and making this happen, brother. And we look forward to seeing it air. Well, hopefully 2 weeks before the fight happens. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be interesting. Guys, before we move forward and start talking about our main event of the evening, the topic du jour, Crawford Spence 2. Let's say hello to our good friends in the chat. First up, our brother Tycho TV. Yes, sir. Thank you for always being here, brother, and supporting the show. Also, my brother AJ. What's up with you, my friend? It's good to see you actually alive and kicking, doing well, doing your thing on your channel. Guys, if you haven't already, please go subscribe to my brother EJ Electrojet. Doing a great job over there. Also, my brother Tyrese Bowie. Good to see you here, my friend. Guys, please list your predictions of, this rematch coming up. Once again, we don't know when it's going to be. We don't know if it's December. In my opinion, well, we'll talk about that in a second. Also, the Real Merc TV. Welcome to the show, sir. Thank you for being here. Also, my brother, the boxing historian. Welcome, brother. Thank you for being here, man, for this special Thursday night edition of WAWR Radio Chats. Also, my brother, G Funky. If you haven't already, please go subscribe to G Funky Boxing. The boss, my partner in crime on Mondays. And he's got a lot of big guests coming up on his calendar. Guys, stay tuned. Please subscribe to my brother, G Funky Boxing. Also, my brother, Puro South Central. Good to see you on here, my friend. I tell you what, Brandon, we just told all of you guys yesterday on James Gogie's show that everyone assumed that the deadline was on the 29th. And no, that wasn't the case. It was 30 business days, it states on the contract, and he had an extension. But all of this noise and everyone already talking about, oh, you haven't heard anything. Oh, well, yeah, he doesn't want any of that smoke. Well, he went ahead last night. He contacted Showtime Sports as well as Team Crawford, and he stated, look, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and file a petition for a rematch. I'm going to execute my right to an immediate rematch. Now, once again, that they haven't negotiated anything. They haven't negotiated weight. They haven't negotiated the terms, nor have they negotiated a date. They haven't started that process yet. But Errol Spence just wanted to let everyone know that he wants to try and do something that hasn't been done since 1960.
Well, and what is that?
Oh boy. And that is an even money matchup, two highly ranked champions, right? Back then in 1959. And I know this because Don Chargan was helping the Teleprompter Corporation promote this via closed circuit. And that was Ingemar Johansson versus Floyd Patterson. Floyd Patterson was the champion. And Ingemar Johansson, back in 1959, knocked his ass out. And that's when there was only one title up for grabs. It was the old NBA title, which is now the WBA. And that was it was in the Bronx, Yankee Stadium, right? Patterson was battered, beaten up decisively, knocked down 7 times within 3 rounds, knocked him out, took the title. It was decisive. It was a wash. Everyone said, don't worry about the immediate rematch. Avoid this guy like the plague. He's got your number.
Uh-huh.
And the very next year, in June of 1960, he said, you know what? Fuck that. I believe in myself. I'm taking on the undefeated Swede, Ingemar Johansson, and he knocked his ass out to regain the title in 5 rounds. It hasn't been done since, guys. It's not unprecedented, and obviously it's not impossible. But there's a reason why most who lose that decisively do not execute their right to immediate rematch. And if they do, they don't win. They come up short again. Okay? So, Brandon, can Errol Spence do at 154 pounds? And once again, that's entirely up to Terrence Crawford's discretion. If he wants to fight at 47, then Errol Spence has to agree to those terms or there's no fight. Can, though, say that everyone agrees to terms. Can Errol Spence do something that hasn't been done since 1960?
I don't think so. After the first fight, I just don't see it happening.
See, you were there covering that event at the T-Mobile Arena, right?
Yes.
And yeah, live. Now, once again, everyone had their opinions of who was going to win the fight. And most of the money was going towards Terrence Crawford. But could you imagine and could you believe something that played out right before your very eyes? Did you even imagine that happening?
Well, this is what I had continuously said, that Crawford was going to hurt Spence, but would he be able to get him out of there? Because I felt Spence was going to be winning rounds because he's more consistent. But that, it definitely didn't go like that at all.
Yeah, and this is what troubles me about this decision, right? I think Errol Spence Jr. and what Don used to call urban advisors, guys who are close to him that don't know shit about boxing, nor the business, they're in his ear telling him, oh, the only reason why you got beaten that soundly, 1, it wasn't your night, and 2, oh, you were a shell of yourself. That wasn't the real Errol Spence. You were weight trained. I guarantee you, you're gonna have much better fortune at 154 pounds. But when you look at the way he lost, it wasn't it wasn't the weight. Stylistically, Terrence Crawford knew exactly what to do. Bo-Mac came up with a brilliant fight plan, taking away his primary weapon and his first line of defense, his jab. Without that jab, it was all but done. It was a foregone conclusion. And he took it away as early as round number 2 and 3. Is this a product of him, you think, listening to the people around him who don't know shit? Or do you think he understands exactly what he's up against? And do you think this is just his retirement package, this big $10 million paycheck once again?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely what it is. I mean, it's not a question about it. Because I mean, I don't feel like look, if it's the weight, okay, it's the weight. But I mean, he still took a sustained beating. So how is he going to recover from that sustained beating?
Oh boy. Yeah, look, and once again, when do you think, this is important, when do you think that they're going to try to make this? Do you think Errol Spence is going to try and lobby for this fight to happen, possibly early next year, to give himself more time to recover? Because let's just face it, he's damaged goods, brother.
I
Like
mean,
anyone else who is not under this kind of timetable, right? Not under this kind of expiration date.
mhm.
Most people would be advised to don't even get in the ring, work out, stay in shape, but don't even get in the ring and don't even spar for at least 8 or 9 months after the horrific beating that you just took. Don't even get in the ring. Don't even spar for at least 8 or 9 months. Don't even think about fighting. Because once again, you look at Floyd Patterson, even back then, when, fighters fought, they were a lot more active and they fought more frequently. He waited for 9 months until stepping in the ring with Ingemar Johansson again. When you take a beating like that, yeah, you're advised to allow your body and more importantly, your brain to heal. So would you be surprised if this fight, once again, fans who are projecting this, even writers nowadays, people who call themselves new media who don't have a fucking clue, they're thinking that this fight's going to be held in December. I think that's horseshit. I think he's going to lobby and petition to possibly push this fight to the first quarter of next year. Your
Yeah,
thoughts?
because
When do you think this fight's going to actually take place, and at what weight?
March and I mean that the weight I have no idea, but I think March or April because I feel like you can literally book it. We're gonna get Gervonta Davis and Pitbull Cruz in December,
Yep. That's very, very
and
insightful, very intelligent.
and you're not gonna put Gervonta Davis and Earl Spence in the same month. That's fucking stupid.
And once again, guys, you're not going to see it in January. You're not going to see it in February because those are big
Those are
football
not months for
months.
boxing. Those are
No,
not months for boxing.
in my opinion, it's either going to happen late February or early March before the NCAA tournament. Yeah, that's it. After the Super Bowl and before March Madness. Expect it, guys. Expect it to be announced and to be formulated and made at that time. Now, Brandon, once again, what can Errol do differently?
Um, have way better defense because he was getting hit with everything in the book. I mean, that's the best. I mean, he needs a way better defense, but I mean, I feel like him changing his. I feel like him changing camp was detrimental. That was a bad play in doing that.
Yeah. Well,
The changing the camp to Vegas.
and once again, in one camp, he's expected to add a new wrinkle to his fight game, his arsenal. Look, everything comes from that jab. His entire arsenal of punches. He's a creative combination puncher to the body and head. But he was so lethargic, so slow compared to Terrence Crawford, that Crawford was actually doing the better work on the inside as well. And without that jab, he could not work effectively or intelligently. He couldn't close the distance intelligently without taking a lot of incoming. Would he be better off in this case in the rematch, working behind the high guard and just blocking most of the incoming until he gets in close quarters and then start to work when he has Crawford against the ropes? Your
I mean,
thoughts?
yeah, but he just
I'm trying to come up with something that
yeah. I
maybe it
mean,
could be more competitive.
yeah, but the thing is, he doesn't fight like that. That's the problem.
Yeah. And look, you know as well as I, you're not going to change a fighter in one camp. Not going to
No,
happen. So what's the best case scenario for him? And once again, Errol Spence is a guy who has power. He's got heavy hands, but it's always an accumulated effort. He only stops guys with an accumulation of pressure and combination punching. He's not a one-punch knockout guy. Yeah.
Let me ask you this,
Opinion,
Joseph. I got an
yeah.
interesting take from the OG Orlando Canizales. He
Oh,
actually told
yes.
he actually told me that Boots beats Crawford.
Wow. You know what? That's a great fight. And unfortunately, we'll never see it. Unless Boots Ennis somehow magically becomes a overnight sensation and he becomes a huge commodity and a huge ticket seller. That's never going to happen, that fight. But I can see it. Boots Ennis is the future of boxing. This guy's going to be a big, big star. If he just, gosh, Cameron Duncan needs to keep him in the ring. He needs to make him more active. Like, he only fights once or twice a year. That's not good enough. You cannot create a superstar that way. You can't.
No.
And, well, the one thing they have going for him is Steven Espinosa absolutely loves Boots Ennis. Even though he's not a part of PBC, he's still featured on their cards quite a bit. And he's featured on Showtime regularly, if you call twice a year regularly. But Steven loves him. Regardless of promoter, Steven loves Boots, and he truly believes he's the future of boxing. And with his youth, with his size, with his switch-hitting prowess, his athleticism, his defense, his ability to fight in the pocket proficiently. Yeah, he gives everyone trouble, including Terrence Crawford. I think that's a very competitive fight. Whether or not he wins, well, there's so many variables that we don't know yet about Boots Ennis. Is he mentally tough? Now, with the sparring he goes through in Philadelphia, fuck yeah, he's a tough motherfucker, man. This guy is a fighter. But how does he look when faced with adversity? We don't know that yet.
I've seen him up close, and he's as impressive as anyone out there. Like, he's the only guy that I don't know. It's weird because it's like, for me, Shakur is the best boxer. Devin Haney probably has the best reflexes. David Benavidez is the hardest worker I've been around. But David Morrell may be the most talented fighter out of all of them, as pure talent goes.
Yeah, you know what, man? I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And you have a great eye for boxing, brother. Once again, keep doing what you do, brother. But guys, list your prediction in the comments. What do you guys think is going to happen? And once again, we welcome our brother Khalid. Let me pull that up once again. Our brother Khalid, he says, salute, fellas. What do you guys think of the nonsense the Boxing Voice is putting out with them saying Shakur turned down $8 million to fight Haney? They said 25 would equate to $8 million. Well, look, all I can say is this, and Brandon, let me know what you think, because honestly, it's a non-issue. It's a fucking it's nonsense and noise created by people who don't know shit about this business, because that fight wasn't going to happen. Devin Haney wasn't interested, really. And Bob Arum knew it. Jay Prince knew it. Bob Arum advised Jay Prince and Shakur Stevenson, hey, call his bluff. He's not serious about making this fight. As soon as you'd contact the WBC and try to mandate and force his hand, you're going to see him go running to 140 pounds. And that's exactly what happened. Guys, he's not interested. It's not news. This is not a story. There's no fight. And them saying something as absurd, 2 ticket sellers and one guy getting $8 million, that's horseshit. Look, as much as I love me some Shakur Stevenson, right now Top Rank is just developing him as a ticket seller. How many times have they featured him in his home area in Newark? Once. He did very well. He's, had a healthy crowd there. But they're just beginning. They're just starting to try and turn him into a mainstream attraction and ticket seller. He's far from that. It's going to be a while before he produces the kind of numbers that Top Rank is looking for. And Haney, this guy couldn't sell out my living room on a Saturday night But because of Eddie Hearn, he's grown accustomed to receiving inflated purses. He has an inflated sense of worth. And guys, what Andy Ruiz is currently going through, as delusional as he seems, that's going to be Devin Haney in 2024. More than likely, once again, he's going to want to remain a free agent, and he's still going to expect those same big dollars, even though he can't put asses in seats. Brandon, do you see Devin Haney landing any big opportunities next year?
Well, I mean, he should fight Regis. I mean, that fight's probably going to happen. The Boxing Voice, still coming up with that news. The Boxing Voice, they have a good relationship with Devin and Bill Haney, so they're going to be a pro Haney channel, you know. And as far as $8 million, I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all.
Dude, that's horseshit.
Yeah, it's because it's like this. Okay, if you put Devin on Shakur right now, does it sell on pay-per-view? No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
No, it's not a pay-per-view matchup. Now, once again, it may be thrust on pay-per-view out of necessity, because both guys are going to demand a shit ton of money that is way bigger than it far exceeds their realistic market value.
Whether fans want to admit it or not, Shakur, Devin, Tank, those three guys are not going to. All three of them, none of them are going to fight each other for at least 2 to 3 years. None of them are fighting each other next year or the year after. It's just not reality. That's what people don't understand. David Benavidez, Caleb Plant took 4 years. Terrence Crawford and Spence took 6 years. Ryan Garcia and Tank took 3 years. We just got lucky that finally this year all the fights that we've been wanting actually happened. We just got lucky because of the timeline and the way everything worked out. But Shakur and Devin are not fighting. Tank's not going to fight Shakur or Devin. Those fights, they need to be built up, because Tank right now, whether people want to admit it or not, he's the star. Shakur's not, and Devin's not. Tank's the star, and that's just reality.
Yep. That's it. That is reality, brother. And thank you for giving us a healthy dose of it on this episode of WAWR Radio Chats. And once again, man, that's why you haven't heard me mention it this entire time that they've been going back and forth on Twitter, because it's nothing but nonsense and noise. And no, it wasn't a serious offer. And as soon as Shakur petitioned to the WBC to make it a serious offer, he went hightailing it up to 140. That's the reality. And G-Funky has the beat. $8 million? Once again, how many TV dates does Devin Haney Promotions have? Yeah, who's going to put up that kind of money for that bullshit? Not Bob Arum. And he knew it. He's like, you know what? I gambled on Lomachenko to beat Haney, and I paid him an inflated purse once. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, fuck you. Or whatever. Anyway, I sound like George W. right now. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, go fuck yourself. Go fuck your mother. Yeah, he's not going to invest in Devin Haney ever again unless he starts overnight selling tickets. That's it. Because he asks for way too much, way beyond his market value. The only promotional company dumb enough to pay him what he's demanding at this time is the same company that signed Regis Prograis. That's Matchroom Sports. That's it. And look at them. They're having to attach this to the pay-per-view revenue stream out of necessity. They didn't do it because it's a special matchup that everyone's been demanding. No, they're doing it out of necessity. Because realistically, Brandon, can you see Haney and Prograis increasing their subscription numbers in North America?
No, not at all.
No, dude, not at all. The only people who are interested in this fight are diehard fans who aren't financially supporting the product anymore. They are, and you're absolutely right, Brandon. They are. They're an embarrassment to the sporting world. Diehard fight fans, and once again, I'm not referring to you guys. You guys are awesome. But the great majority, the overwhelming majority of diehard fight fans, they don't pay for shit. That's why they're such negative critics and view the sport, their supposed favorite pastime, as a half glass empty. Consistently thinking that it's a more insightful and intelligent way of viewing the product, their supposed beloved boxing. They think it's a more insightful way of looking at the product by shitting all over it any chance they get. Well, quite the contrary. It really means that you don't know what the fuck you're looking at, and you don't know shit about boxing. That's what it means. Did I miss anything there, Brandon?
No, not at all.
I tell you what, though, this is going to be a slow couple weeks. And once again, it's proof positive that we've been spoiled this year. Because look, anyone in the business like Brandon, yeah, we have a better working relationship with others, right? And, more than some, right? But we always pull for every platform to flourish and thrive, because with all the TV dates that we've been receiving this year, well, the last 2-3 years to be specific, you look back 20 years from now, this is a far better product for the health of the sport. The number of TV dates that we've been receiving are unprecedented. And I think we've been spoiled. You look at this 3-week stretch, there's really nothing going on for the next 3 weeks. And I hope boxing fans understand and realize that, yeah, we've been spoiled. We received a great product this year, and there's a lot to love about boxing. Your final thoughts on this bullshit in Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney. And once again, it's a ton of nonsense and noise, but your final thoughts on this before we move forward.
It's like what you said. It's nonsense. It's just basically no one wants to be painted a duck, so you got to paint the other guy as a duck. That's all it is. You know what I mean?
Oh, gosh. And once again, that's for the benefit of the diehard fans who really don't matter at this point anyway.
Because if one guy comes out and says, "Hey, I want to fight that guy," and that guy doesn't fight him in his next fight, then every fan's like, "Oh, he's ducking. You know what I mean?"
They're ignorant, and they don't understand that ducking is a fan-driven concept that doesn't genuinely exist in this business. Everyone, all of these hardworking fighters who lace up the gloves and take punishment for our entertainment, they're all fearless. All of them would step in even at the club level, they would step in the ring with King Kong if it meant making life-changing money. Ducking is bullshit. And it's almost like when you use the ducking moniker, well, you hang the scarlet letter, the boxing scarlet letter over your fucking neck. Means you don't know shit. Well, I'll tell you what. Are you a bit surprised, though? Going back to Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford, were you surprised when you actually heard that Errol Spence, well, he wants that payday. He wants that last payday, and he doesn't mind walking through fire once again to achieve it. Were you a bit surprised when you found out the news today?
Yeah, I was very surprised.
If you were close to Errol Spence, what would you advise of him?
Move to 54 and try to fight for a vacant title.
In your opinion, and you saw the horrific beating, bludgeoning in person. Do you think that he can even do that at this juncture of his career with everything that he's put his body through?
I mean, he could. I don't know. It's so hard because it's like I said, he looks so bad, but it's like, I don't know, man. That's such a tough one. I really couldn't answer that.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, we're going to move on, guys. We've got some updates. Once again, guys, please keep Coach Ronnie Shields in your prayers. If you're wondering where we were this past Tuesday, when he went to Georgia for the overtime card, right? He contracted COVID. So, guys, please keep our brother Coach Ronnie in your prayers. He contracted COVID. Yeah, and he's doing much better. I just spoke to him before the show, and he wanted me to give you guys some updates concerning his fighters. Adlai Rodriguez, a guy that Brandon's very high on. So am I. So is Coach Ronnie. So is everyone in the business. When I found out that he's going to be out for a bit for the rest of the year, definitely, because he just had shoulder surgery. That's easy for me to say. But guys, boy, circle him. As soon as he comes back, we'll let you know. Because according to Coach Ronnie, as well as Brandon Walker, especially according to a lot of people in the business, this is not only a future champion at 140 pounds. He's a future champion at 47 and 54. This kid is special. What do they call him?
El
Adelaide?
Puli.
El Puli. Yes,
El
sir.
Puli is his name.
Okay, so I'm going to walk away and take a Vader test right now, but please give us your scouting report.
Joseph, I think you're breaking out.
Can you hear me now, sir?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. I'm going to step away for just a second, for just a minute, but please enlighten everyone and give them your professional assessment.
Hey, Joseph, it's messing up. I can't hear you.
Are you sure it's my side? Let me hold on, because I'm receiving a clear signal. Hold on just one moment. Let me refresh something.
I can't hear you,
me
brother.
now, sir? You can't hear me at all. You can't hear me at all? Because I'm getting a clear signal, brother. I tell you what. Go ahead and give us your scouting report. Can you hear me at all? Can you hear me now? Brandon, can you hear me now, sir?
I can hear you.
Well, it looks like Brandon can't hear me. Go ahead and log off and log back in then, brother. Because I'm getting a clear signal, right? Okay, very good. He's going to try and log off and log back in. But, yeah, Bully. Adelaide Rodriguez is a stud. According to Coach Ronnie, I can tell you what, it's just a testament to how proficient and how affable and how good Coach Ronnie is, where he's getting a ton of talent. David Morrell Jr. Let me give you an update right now, though, on, Philip Ergovich. According to Coach Ronnie, Eddie Hearn, and Team Ergovich, they are petitioning right now, trying to get the IBF to intercede and mandate Usyk's title defense. Okay? And they want it to happen for December. And I asked Coach Ronnie, I said, look, you fought in his last two fights, two southpaws, in McKenna and Zhilei Zhang. I said, was that coincidental or was that by design? He said, of course it was by design. We want to get him used to seeing that southpaw, especially with the Aussie. A guy who is very awkward, a guy who moved a lot, a guy who worked behind the jab, a guy who's very awkward. We wanted him to get used to, fighting at a different pace. And they're preparing right now for Alexander Usyk. Yeah. So that's his update. The big update, though, I'm going to lay on you guys, and this is going to be very hard to believe if you've been listening to this show for a considerable amount of time. I've got an update on Jermall Charlo, guys. And once again, anyone who's been listening to this channel before, when Canelo was, once again, PBC and Canelo, they were trying to line up their Jermall Charlo fight. Not Mel, Jermall. And they couldn't because his divorce wasn't going to be final. And once again, I wasn't supposed to talk about that previously. And I haven't talked about that since, out of respect for Coach Ronnie as well as Jermall. But I can talk about this. There's been a complete 180, right? Jermall now, he has reconciled with his estranged wife. The potential divorcee has now reconciled with Jermall. They've gotten back together and they've done an intervention. And he's right now in Pensacola, Florida with Roy Jones, one of the best mentors this sport has currently. And he is going to Bible study. He's going to counseling. He's not only getting his career back, he's getting his life back. Ronnie Shields was very clear in laying the smack down and, calling for an intervention on behalf of Jermall. And that's what happened. Now he's got his head on straight. Hopefully, we see him back at the ring, testing the waters at 168, getting ready for Cinco de Mayo weekend in 2024. Big news, guys. And once again, that's exclusive for War Week Radio listeners. But guys, welcome, Sly Tendencies. Welcome to the show, sir, and thank you for the $2 super chat. He says, Spence should have taken a tune-up first. Who knows? It's all now up to the negotiation process, and Terrence Crawford has to approve. Who knows? Terrence might want to lobby for the winner of Charlo Canelo first, and then take on Errol Spence sometime in the tail end of next year. Giving him enough time. But once again, that's entirely up to them. It's actually the exclusive discretion of Terrence Crawford, right? It's up to him entirely. Once again, it was up to Errol Spence to pull the trigger on the immediate rematch, but Terrence Crawford has to approve, and he's going to dictate the terms of the negotiation, right? That's it. The only thing that's guaranteed is, yeah, Showtime is still on the hook for that massive $20 million guarantee. But all the other stipulations, that's entirely at Terrence Crawford's discretion, the way I was told and the way I understand it. So it's going to be a long process. And in my opinion, I would be very surprised if this fight happens by the end of 2023. Don't be surprised if Errol Spence says, hey, as long as we get a rematch by the end of next year, yeah, I'll take a tune-up. You can go ahead and fight Canelo Alvarez in your fantasy matchup at 168. Go become an even bigger star. Go get your ass whooped by Canelo. And then, well, I'll pick up the pieces afterwards, and it'll be more of a fair matchup. Don't be shocked if that actually happens. But I agree with W.A.W. Welcome to the show, sir. It's Spence's farewell fight. In my opinion, it's like a CEO when he gets let go. He gets a golden parachute of tens of millions of dollars. That's exactly what this is. This is severance, farewell, golden parachute, whatever you want to call it. That's exactly what this is, guys. He's got no chance to win this. Once again, it's not impossible. It's not unprecedented. But the last elite level fighter that has gotten his ass whooped, and he's come back the very next fight to win. You have to go back to 1960 when Floyd Patterson initially lost the heavyweight title to Ingemar Johansson by getting knocked out in the third round. He came back in an immediate rematch. Once again, people advised against it. It was a big, big commercial and critical hit. The rematch, everyone was anticipating Ingemar Johansson doing the same thing. Oh, he's got your number. It was so decisive, there's no reason for a rematch. Well, Floyd Patterson believed in himself, changed a lot of things in his life, and he came back better, stronger, and he knocked out Ingemar Johansson in the 5th round of their subsequent efforts. It hasn't happened since. Guys, go look at Sugar Shane Mosley, Vernon Forrest. Once again, he did better in the rematch, but he didn't win, and it was still a decisive victory for Vernon Forrest. Guys, you look at Vernon Forrest versus Ricardo Mayorga. He did better in the rematch, but he still lost decisively. He had his number. Tyrese Bowie, welcome to the show, sir, once again, and thank you for the $1.99 super chat. And I think you're right. EJ stayed at 147 too long, just like Hurd at 54. Yep, and how's Hurd now? He's damaged goods as a result. In my opinion, Errol Spence Jr. is damaged goods. And as soon as he actually takes this fight, after he gets his ass whooped again, he's going to announce his retirement because his market value will be nothing. And he's never going to be able to earn as much as he's made in his last 2 fights as a result. And look, when you've grown accustomed to getting those big dollars and your market value is nothing compared to what it was, a fighter would rather retire than to make drips and drabs compared to what he's grown accustomed to. That's just the way it works in this business, guys. Yep. She's playing possum waiting on that Canelo fight. Guys, look, even Canelo has seen the demand from everyone in the sporting world, not just boxing fans, not just diehards, everyone. That is the biggest money fight in boxing currently. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if Terrence Crawford jumps the line and moves in Cinco de Mayo weekend 2024. Don't be shocked if that actually happens. Very good possibility of that happening. Okay? And once again, it's all contingent on what happens September 30th. Guys, I'm circling the calendar. In my opinion, that's the most attractive fight card on paper this year. Now, whether it plays out that way, well, that's up to the fighters. And once again, this is the theater of the unexpected, and that's why they fight the fights. Nothing is guaranteed. But yeah, Sly, you've got the beat. Rest in peace, Vernon Forrest. That was one hell of a nice guy. Yep. He was so affable, and he was a guy who earned his respect the hard way, right? He was a former Olympian, but he never got the glory like Oscar de la Hoya. He wasn't superstar when he turned pro like Sugar Shane Mosley. He had to earn the bone. He had to earn his bones the hard way. And once again, Promotions 101, if a guy isn't a big ticket seller, you have no choice but to stick him in tough to increase his market value. Time tested, guys. Once again, that's why we profess the business of boxing. They're finite. They're absolute. They're time tested. Over time, right? You can't fuck with the rules of boxing. Regardless of ethnicity, regardless of culture, the rules of promotions, the rules of boxing, how you cultivate and nurture a fighter's skill set and attraction value, market value, level of attraction. Yeah, that's time tested, guys. There is a method to the promoter's madness. And once again, look what happened when Al Heyman ill-advisedly tried to, well, change the rules. And he thought he knew better. What happened? Yeah, he was reminded by the real bosses of boxing, as well as, well, fighters and the way this business is. Yeah, he was reminded that, yeah, I guess these rules are in place for a reason. And once he started listening to Tom Brown as well as Steven Espinoza, look at the product now. It's gotten so much better. And I will say this. I guess we're not getting Brandon back, but I want to thank Brandon Walker of 210 Boxing. Guys, if you haven't already, please go subscribe to my brother Brandon at 210 Boxing for all the latest interviews with all the biggest stars in boxing. He's doing a killer job going and covering the beat. He's if he's not able to make an event, he's got someone there. He does a great job. And he did a great job doing commentary with me on last Saturday night's card in San Antonio. Look forward to the next one. Sly, he says, yeah, any thoughts on Smith Eubank 2? Look, I will say this. If he doesn't try to be cute, and I'm referring to Chris Eubank Jr., if he doesn't try to be cute and doesn't try to take breaks in the corner, and if he keeps moving laterally, keeps working behind the jab, uses his feet to control, to be the foundation of his defense, if he uses jab and his footwork to control range, he's got enough crack in his shot to keep Beefy Smith honest and to earn his respect. It's when he takes breaks is what I'm worried about, because Chris Eubank Jr. is by far the more athletically gifted fighter. If you go back and remember looking at that fight, he was winning this fight easily. Well, until he wasn't. He got caught in the corner, got hurt. My only thoughts are, I've never seen Eubank, get hurt like that and not be able to function in the ring. After getting that rock cracked, is it cracked for good? Is he now a shot fighter? Has his durability finally actually run out? In my opinion, we're going to find out a lot this Saturday. As far as genuine interest in this fight, though, I'm not. This is a UK matchup. In the UK, yeah, I understand being interested in this fight. But look, it's in the middleweight division. It's not for a title. Middleweight division is by far the most stagnant and uneventful in boxing because of the alliances between promoters and networks, because it's so fractured and no promoter has a monopoly on all the talent in 160. Yeah, it's virtually impossible to put together these matchups. And one guy is not a huge ticket seller where everyone's going to want to fight that guy, and it's possible to make those matchups happen, where promoters would be willing to cross network alliances, right? Network boundary lines, right? That's what's so difficult about making any great fights at 160, and that's why we're seeing this at 160, a rematch of this fight. I still think if Eubank, if he's still durable, which that's a big question mark right now, I say he wins this fight on points very decisively. But if that knockout wasn't a fluke and his chin is glass now, well, you're going to see a repeat of the first fight. We'll see. Once again, that's just the way it happens, guys. You'll see a guy be super durable, until he isn't. And it's a sudden drop-off. And it just happens like that. Yeah, we'll see, guys. But that's about it, guys. We're an hour in. I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. And if you missed any part of the show, go ahead and rewind it. Or you can just listen to it on archive for the rest of the week. But, guys, I'll try to do another show tomorrow to give you my final thoughts on everything. And after I find out more information regarding, Errol Spence and Crawford 2, when negotiations are going to start, I'll try to get all that info as much as I can. But, yeah, I just think it's hilarious that because everyone thought that the deadline was on the 28th, 29th, 30th, whenever. And once again, it was 30 business days within the contract. So that gave him technically 6 weeks to make this decision. But because everyone started reporting negatively on it because they hadn't heard anything, yeah, he went ahead and notified Terrence Crawford, Team Crawford, as well as Showtime Sports, that yes, he was going to exercise his right to an immediate rematch. We'll see if the negotiations are fruitful. Once again, both parties have to agree upon the terms, and it's now up to the discretion of Terrence Crawford solely in this matchup. He won that right. He earned that right to call the shots in this negotiation the second time around. We'll see what happens, guys, but make no mistake about it. In my opinion, this is a fight that he cannot win. Let's see. Hands of Stone, welcome to the show, brother. He says, my friends dislike Al Heyman. Brother, there are a lot of people within this business who carry around a genuine disdain for Al Heyman. Once again, I'm not one of those guys, but I was one of his worst critics, harshest critics, how he treated Golden Boy, as well as what he did, leaving them basically for dead, gutted them of all their talent, used them of all their TV dates, and convinced Richard Schaefer that it was a better idea not to sign them under Golden Boy contract. Yeah, all of us were complaining about that at the time. I had a very good working relationship with Golden Boy at the time. I was working exclusively with Don Chargan, but I was doing a lot of press releases and a lot of interviews for all of Al Heyman's fighters while they were promoted under the Golden Boy promotional banner, and they got all their TV dates. So what did Al Heyman do? Gutted all of his talent, signed everybody to his own advisement to PBC, and he left them for dead. And then he paid them all inflated purses. Now, once again, guys, if you're new to this show, paying out inflated purses never ends well for the health of the sport. And what did I just say about the rules of promotion, the rules of boxing? They're absolute. And it never ends well when you pay out inflated purses. Because if a fighter grows accustomed to making millions of dollars for soft touches and layups, so to speak, how much do you think he's going to demand when faced and presented with a real challenge to fight the best fighters of boxing? We're seeing it right now with the entire heavyweight division pretty much. That's why it's so stagnant. We're seeing that right now with Andy Ruiz specifically. He's demanding, he's asking for less money now. He'll fight Deontay Wilder at the bargain basement price of $10 million. Once again, he's a recipient and a product of receiving inflated purses that far exceed his realistic market value. This is what you get, guys. And this is what Heyman started. This is the trend that he started back in 2015. He paid everyone inflated purses that were fighting regularly under the PBC banner with that Waddell and Reed money, far exceeding their market value, thinking that he could create stars. Oh, I'm going to revolutionize the sport. I'm going to change the rules. I'm going to pay these guys what they really deserve. Did it work out that way? No. And we're still suffering as a result of it. And once again, everyone in this business has to have taken great strides, promoters, networks, to try and undo all of those terrible trends that were brought to the forefront in the business of boxing. But look at Haney. Look at Andy Ruiz. Look at Keith Thurman. When's the last time he's fought? Once again, the gravy train's over, guys. No more Waddell and Reed money. And no one is paying out inflated purses any longer except for that buffoon, Eddie Hearn, because he doesn't understand the American market. Does he pay any of his UK fighters inflated purses? No. He understands the realistic market value over there. But this is a guy who's paying, from what I've been told, almost $8 million for Haney Prograis? Ask yourself, guys, is that worth that much? No. And what's going to happen after that fight? These guys are going to get career high paydays, and they're going to expect that from this point forward. Not realizing that, well, that's not the realistic market value. If you can't sell tickets, if you don't create that kind of demand from the mainstream and casual fight fans, you can't ask for that kind of bread. That's not the way the fight game works. It's a lot like the music business. This is why I can't understand why Al Heyman didn't get this initially. Because it works just like the music industry. You get paid. Okay, the fans determine your worth in this business. Not just what some promoter is willing to pay you. The fans, the real bosses of boxing, always determine your worth in this business. And when you pay fighters a purse, a guaranteed purse that far exceeds their demand, their market value, then yeah, it never ends well. It makes it virtually impossible to put together the best matchups in boxing. And that's what we're seeing, guys. Thank God, though. Thank God we've seen the matchups that we have this year. It's been an incredible year, guys. Look. I don't even want to address this, Anthony. Welcome to the show, sir. I talked about it way too long for about 5 minutes on this show. I'm not going to mention it again. It's a load of fucking nonsense, Anthony. It's just a bunch of nonsense and noise from fans and idiots who call themselves journalists that don't know any better. Anyone who regurgitates this nonsense, they don't know shit about the business. This was never a serious fight. This was never being considered by Team Haney. This is smoke and mirrors, folks. This is nothing but nonsense and noise. As soon as Bob Arum and company, Jay Prince, Shakur Stevenson, attempted to make it real, hey, let's call his bluff. Let's get the WBC to mandate this fight. What happened? He went hightailing it up to 140. It's not real, guys. This is not a serious story. This is a fucking soap opera. And it's just a bunch of nonsense and noise that's going to amount to nothing. And again, those are my final thoughts. Oh, brother. And Anthony, no problem, dude. We love you here on the show, man. And a happy birthday once again, my friend. Hope you had a great one with your loved ones and your family. And hope you had a great time in Florida, my friend. We love having you here. And you're a valued member, family member of the Warwick Radio Extended family, as all of you guys are. But again, guys, I'm a machine gun. Once I get on this trip, I keep talking and keep talking. If I don't leave now, I may not until midnight. So, guys, with that said, thank you guys for always being a part of the program and always being being family members of Warwick Radio. We appreciate all of you guys, everyone here on the channel. Rick Glazer, James Gogi, Coach Ronnie, my brother Brandon Walker, myself, my brother G Funky, as well as JC Bell from the Boxing Source. Yes, he's going to be accompanying me once again this Tuesday. Ronnie says he's really looking forward to being back on the show this Tuesday after a month-long absence. And once again, keep him in your prayers, guys, because COVID at our age is no joke. So once again, but Ronnie's a fighter, and he stays in very good health. He's very active. But please keep him in your prayers. And let's hope he makes it through this thing unscathed. So we'll get reacquainted to Ronnie on Tuesday. But, guys, I'm going to hope to get on the air with you guys and try to get some news for you regarding Spence Crawford, the rematch, when it's going to be projected, how soon they can start negotiations. I'll try to get more information for you tomorrow morning. But until then, guys, thank you so much for being a part of our program. Thank you for always supporting the channel. We love you on this show, all of you guys. And thank you for being, hands down, the most intelligent and insightful diehard fans of the sport, our beloved boxing. Keep supporting your beloved boxing, guys. And don't forget, it all starts with the club shows. If you have a club or regional show in your area, please go buy a ticket. Go out and make some phone calls. Go to the local gyms. Go visit. Go see how these hardworking men and women work. And you know what? You won't be disappointed. It's a great product. And I'm very proud of the product that we produce here in San Antonio and the surrounding areas. By the way, next month, we're going to see a blockbuster that's not going to be televised. I'm going to try to change all that. But it's including one of Ronnie's future champions, Ephraim Bowie, at 115 pounds. He's fighting. He's 8-0, right, with 6 knockouts. He's fighting another undefeated fighter who's 7-0 from San Antonio, Texas. And I've called several of his fights, both as ring announcer and commentator. His name is Guillermo Gutierrez. Both of them are amateur standouts. They fought each other twice in the amateurs and are 1-1. And I'm in shock, one, that they're both undefeated prospects, contenders, and they're fighting each other at the 8-round level. Shocking. And two, I'm shocked that it's not being televised. No one's picked it up. Well, I'm going to try to change that. And I'm going to see if I can call that fight. It's happening in Houston, Texas. And Coach Ronnie's guy, well, I'm going to see if I can help out. So there it is, guys. And that's happening next month. I'll keep you guys informed. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's happening on October 7th, I want to say. But anyway, guys, it's happening in Sugar Land, Texas. That's where Ronnie's gym resides. So I'm going to see if I can get to that and see if I can actually try to garner some sponsorship and some network coverage for that event. Hopefully yours truly will be calling it, at least on a streaming broadcast worldwide. I'm going to see what I can do. But guys, on behalf of one of the hardest working members of this business, Mr. Brandon Walker, and once again, he's going to be busy shooting all of the Jesus Ramos documentary leading up to this pivotal fight in his career against Erickson Lubin at the tender age of only 22. And yours truly will be doing the narration during the documentary for it. I love this. I love working like this. I love being a part of these projects. It really gets me excited and makes me fall in love with the product and the sport of boxing once again. I absolutely love staying this busy. And I love being a part of all of these gallant fighters' careers, being part of their lives, even for a glimpse or a moment. It's very special. And I'm very proud of what our beloved boxing has produced in 2023. Guys, let's hope that it gets better. But it only gets better with your approval and your involvement. You have to remember to always financially support your beloved pastime, right? And there it is, guys. So on behalf of Brandon Walker, on behalf of everyone here at WAWR Radio, and guys, remember, keep Ronnie in your prayers. Also keep Jamal Charlo in your prayers, okay? He's in a very pivotal time in his life. It seems like he's on the right track under the mentoring of Coach Ronnie as well as Roy Jones. But guys, I've talked too much already. I need to get something to eat. I'm Joseph Herron. You've been listening to WAWR Radio. Have a great Thursday night, everybody.
Mexico.